Hey everybody, it's Nick here. Just have a couple announcements before we get into the interview today. Now, I know what you're all thinking. How in the hell are these guys getting so many amazing people to interview on their show? First Janet Varney last week and now John C. McGinley? Well, actually we're getting some help from our new sponsor. That's right, I am proud to introduce Pod Against Evil's first sponsor, That's My Entertainment. It's an amazing site that offers fans the opportunity to interact with and learn about their favorite shows from an insider's perspective. They've helped us hook up with a bunch of the Stand Against Evil people, and they can help you talk to some of the people you admire and from some of the shows you love. In fact, they are looking for volunteers right now. So if you too would like the chance to write about your favorite show or interview some of the talent, simply email that'smytv@gmail.com. That's thatsmyetv@gmail.com. And hey, while you're at your computer, why not mosey over to goldlabel.com and get yourself some Stand Against Evil merch. That's right, you can now get yourself a Demon Baby shirt, a Willard's Milk coffee mug, and much more merch to crap an apple about. Alright, and with that out of the way, let's get on with the show. And welcome to Pod Against Evil, another interview edition. And guys, I am so excited to be giving this one to you because we have a special guest like no other special guest we've had before. You may have heard of him. He is the, what's his character? Oh, that's right, he's Stan. Oh my goodness, it's the titular Stan from Stand Against Evil. Ladies and gentlemen, may I introduce to you John C. McGinley.
How we doing?
Oh my goodness, John, I am so excited to have you on. I am literally, like, I'm shaking. I'm so excited. I'm so glad this is not a visual format at all because it would be real awkward. But yeah, John, I love the show, obviously. I mean, it would be weird if I made a podcast all about a show that I just kind of I thought was okay. But yes, I love it, and I love the character of Stan in particular. I find him to be very interesting. Because he is unlike any role you've played before. I
agree.
Yes, he's so radically different because he's this older guy. He's like this Archie Bunker type, but some may easily dismiss him as that. But he surprisingly gives you a lot of chance to throw emotional moments and range in there that really deepen the character. I would like to talk to you about how you discovered Stan and the script for Stand Against Evil. What were your thoughts and feelings when you saw him on the page?
Well, I thought what Dana. First of all, the reason I decided to join you guys was primarily as I was listening to the podcast and enjoying it. But when you guys got 208, which was the finale to the second season, when you got what we were doing there, it made me want to join in because you guys were quite meticulous with. You guys have been hip to the tone that we established on this show, which to Dana Gould and I, who's the executive producer, the tone that we've established on this show, which is horror comedy, obviously. Mm-hmm. And what's interesting about where we live is that if you take the two extremes of the horror comedy spectrum, one is Scooby-Doo, which is funny, but mm-hmm. the monsters are largely denuded. Right. And the other end of the spectrum is The Exorcist, which is scary as heck, but you can't really break a joke. And so somewhere in the middle there is An American Werewolf in London, is Stand Against Evil. And it's really hard to occupy that real estate, tone-wise, unless you're really meticulous and every week shape the show so it can live right in between those two, which is hard. Because if your jokes are at the expense, too much at the expense of the threat, then the threat is defanged and declawed, and who cares? And if the threat is too much and you can't break a joke, then it's too scary. And so right in the middle there, and you guys have actually put your finger right on this, is where Stan lives. And then what we tried to do in the finale of season 2 was add a very generous dollop of emotion, because Stan is damaged. He is damaged, and when we first meet him, He's been fired from his job of 27 years. He's lost his wife of 28 years. He's damaged. And so to circle back to your original question, how did I first come to this? Dana sent it to me, and I thought that he was missing something that he'd already put on the page. He was missing a gem that he had put on the page, but he'd glossed over it. And I told him when he came out here to meet with me, I said, You've put on the page, you've constructed this really damaged guy, and I want to explore some of his damages and how he can reconcile them and what he's willing to do about them. And he's promised me he would, and he has for 2 seasons, and then this year especially, what we just shot in Atlanta. Stan, to the best of his ability, is trying to reconcile and trying to come to grips with his loss. I mean, he lost his job. He lost his wife. He has his lovely daughter, who's insane, and that's not enough ballast. That's not enough balance. And so, is this guy even capable of reconciling loss? Maybe not. And so, when in the finale of season 2, when the degree to which the sacrifices he's willing to make, are astonishing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny you should mention that, because that's what draws me to the character too. Because on the outside, he's kind of a jerk, and you wouldn't think he was sympathetic. But there's these moments where you can see, like, oh, he's broken. He can no longer function in the world. He always wants to retreat into, like, where things make sense. He wants to go back to his chair, back to where things made sense. But
Correct.
His wife will never bring him that beer again. Like, that's where he is. And I'm like, oh man. And I can't help but feel like you somehow did research on my grandfather. Like, I was like, oh, especially with like a certain line of like, what was it? All kids should know that they suck. Like, all kids should be told that they're
a great line.
And it's a great line. And I'm like, oh my God, I think my grandfather actually said something absolutely like almost note for note that. So
I feel the same way about kind of my father. It's based. Stan constructed. Danny constructed Stan based on his father,
mm-hmm.
and then I brought some other things. But he is based on Dana's dad. But I'm not Dana's dad, and one of the first things I wanted to get away from is a heavy New England accent. Primarily because they're annoying,
mm-hmm.
and also Stan doesn't need to have a heavy New England accent. He can just. It's okay. That stuff. Actors make a mistake sometimes when they want to dive into accents and eccentricities, because especially if it's going to be for many episodes,
mm-hmm.
the eccentricities get thin. And so the cleaner you can keep a character, especially in TV, if God willing, we're going to be with this character for a while, you got to keep it clean. And Stan is largely devoid of eccentricities other than kind of his core sense of loss. And Dana has been good to his word, and we've explored that. And, Stan has been willing to time travel. He's been willing to, there's nothing he won't do to try to settle this loss.
Yes,
and that's what's attractive to me. I can turn a joke. Danny can write a joke. So that stuff we had down. But I was like, what's going to ground this guy and prevent me from changing the channel is because loss is inherent to the human condition, and I wanted to explore that.
Yeah, because it's another great
even if
point.
it's just peripheral, and obviously it's a horror comedy. It's not a horror. Everybody cry me a river. But just even if it's under the lens is an X-ray machine, and it sees everybody's truth. Once you get in front of the lens, it's an X-ray machine. Mm-hmm. And if you bring if you have the balls to explore loss and bring that in front of the lens between action and cut, the lens is gonna suffer that in an authentic way. And Stan, you don't have to put loss up on a billboard, but Stan, he's damaged.
Well, that's interesting you said, because it is like, you said it's a horror comedy. It's a very funny show. I love it. I love laughing at it a lot. But these moments of emotion are what really keep bringing me back. And I feel like the moment I thought Stan, like Stan's big redemption for me is in like the beginning 2 episodes of season 2 where he goes back for Evie. and like there's like this big moment, like this scene is and he's begging with Eccles' daughter, like, please, I can't lose my friend.
He gets on his knees.
Yeah.
He gets on his freaking knees. He's never gotten on his knees in his life. And I told Dana, I said, Dana, let me get on my knees to this little girl. This guy's never done this. This is how important this is.
He can't lose another person he loves.
Beg.
Like he can't lose another person that's important to him, and like that's like I want to see my friend.
He can't. It's not possible.
Right. Like if that would be the end for Stan. Like that would be goodness.
Absolutely.
Like
it'd be done.
Mm-hmm.
And so in that we didn't have it on the tight shot, but that I remember we were editing, and I was like, where's the shot looking down over her shoulder to Stan in this pose of acquiescence and begging, and we only had it in the master. And I said, well then just let it play. Let us see that tableau where this guy who's never begged anybody for anything in his whole stinking life gets on his knees in front of this young woman and begs her.
Right.
Now, I'm watching that. I'm going to watch that.
It's so powerful. Yes, so like vulnerable for a man that like would never wants to be vulnerable. Oh, God, I love it. And that actually brings me because you are also a producer on the show, so you get to work a lot more in the post production. How is that? Affect your does that affect your performance in Stan in previous, or does it like make?
No. I've produced 5 movies and. And that sounded arrogant, but I didn't mean it to. But I'm very comfortable in post. I had a post-production company in New York for 10 years. When it paid for our production costs by having post-production supervisors. We'd job them out to everybody in the Brill Building, which was a post-production center, a hub back in the day. And so I'm very comfortable. You want me in post because I can remember everything that happened on the set. And it's going to make your life easier. Mm-hmm. And this way, I'm not trespassing or stepping on toes because I'm supposed to be there. Mm-hmm. And it was one of the tenets that I put in there to say yes to this project. Sure.
I think.
Don't get me wrong. It's Dana's vision. Mm-hmm. This is Dana's piece. This is Dana's piece. But he lets me come in and shape some of it with him.
Yeah, well, I think...
But there's no confusion. In TV, I've been lucky enough to be with 2 really kind of Norman Lear-esque guys of their generation, from Bill Lawrence on Scrubs to Dana, who obviously rode shotgun in the writers' room of The Simpsons for almost 10 years, and the whole time he was doing that, he was coming up with this TV show, Stand Against Evil, and so I want to be with those guys and women. That's who I want to be with. Mm-hmm. A guy who's on The Simpsons, and the whole time he has this other idea that he wants to flesh out. I want to get with that guy.
Yeah, he's got something in the cooker, that's for sure. I also like to talk about your some of your other co-star for a minute, because obviously you're the other half of the dynamic duo. You do a lot of work with Janet Varney playing Evie. I think your chemistry between the two of you, your like buddy cop, straight man, tall man, short man kind of thing, the Abbott and Costello bit really works. I love every scene with you guys together. Like you seem to play very well with one another. What was your first time like first doing a scene with Janet? What was that like?
Well, I can't remember the first time, but I remember as we were watching dailies the first season, it became clear that Janet, whether she knew it or not, that Janet could function as the initiator and be the protagonist, mm-hmm. which is what screwball comedy is. So when you see Barbara Stanwyck in The Lady Eve, or you see Rosalind Russell in His Girl Friday, that's all screw. And Preston Sturgis with Miracle of Morgan Creek, and these are all from the 40s. And there was a style of film called screwball, and screwball means that the protagonist is a female and that she initiates. And it's hard. It's very hard. it's really hard because you have to write to it, you have to support it, and you have to have somebody who's a thoroughbred in comedy like Janet be able to do this. And as we watched the first season, we're like, my God, Janet can do Screwball. Mm-hmm. And so the second season, we wrote more to that. And the third season, she drives the action. You can only do that if you have somebody who's superior in that style, because it's really hard. I mean, Barbara Stanwyck doesn't come along every day. Rosalind Russell doesn't come along every day. Katharine Hepburn was also with Spencer was great in Screwball, and Janet can put that on and crush it.
Mm-hmm. Oh no,
and that makes obviously I admire the hell out of her. And like I told you, the camera's an X-ray machine, and when you see Stan, he would never say it, but he admires the hell out of her, and the camera knows that, and the lens can see that. And then we don't have to have Stan say it because it's clear whether he likes it or not. He admires her. Dana always said, Janet is the son that Stan never had.
Yes. Like I love that because like they're both the reason they don't get along is they're both just a little more similar than either one wants to admit.
Yeah, I buy that.
Yeah. Like that's my running theory, and man, we love Janet over here. She's basically the patron saint of Pod Against Evil. There would be no podcast without her. She's the one that introduced us to the show, actually. So
has Janet been on with you guys yet?
Not yet. We are scheduled for later this month, and we're gonna have her on though. So we're excited about that.
You better schedule 2 hours because she is the greatest.
Man, I could talk to her all day, but yeah, I love. The dynamic between you. I even loved in like we were talking previously in 208, where you guys have that big conversation before the time travel, and
that's my favorite scene.
Yes,
that's so ballsy.
It's
for a horror comedy to go. Here's what we're gonna do. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have this big emotional scene before this time travel, and the actors get to invest and explore that. I was just like, just call action and get out of my goddamn eye line. I couldn't wait to frickin' shoot that scene. Mm-hmm. And Janet, too. I mean, that was a bit of a gift. For Dana to write that for us, that was kind of a gift.
I love the line, imagine if it was your kid. And it was like,
yeah.
And she gives you this look like, you son of a bitch, how dare you?
You went there?
Like, ooh.
You went there?
Mm-hmm. Oh, God, I love it. And yeah, like obviously you get to work with Deborah Baker Jr. and Nate Mooney, and even Dina Gold gets in part of the acting action as Kevin. There's just amazing cast, really.
Yeah, I didn't know any of these actors going in, and then we brought them down to Georgia, and because we shoot 8 episodes in 5 weeks, which is preposterous.
That is so crazy fast.
The actors have to rehearse this thing like a play because. In other words, when we do the Nick and John phone call this morning, we're all from 201. We're also going to do while we have Nick in his interior and John in his interior. We're going to shoot the phone calls that Nick and John have in 204, 206, and 208. We're doing that all this morning.
Goodness.
So we're going to knock out those Nick's interior when he's on the phone with John, and John's interior when he's on the phone with Nick. We're shooting that all out. Right now, we're going to shoot it. And you have to rehearse it like a play so that Nick's character knows that he had some horrible loss between episodes 201 and 204. And so in 204, while he's in a different wardrobe, something also occurred. And then we switch his wardrobe and we shoot him 206 and 208. And the actors have to have accounted for all that. And it's hard, but it's
insane.
Really exciting.
That's an insane schedule. I would love to actually be, I would love to be on set, but I'd worry that I'd get run over with all the people running around and go like, no, leave him. We have no time for stragglers.
There is no time, but the actors, that's the way it is. They brought my wife Nicole and I out to Sundance last year because the show was going so good and it was starting to do distribution overseas and it's killing it in Ireland and England now. And so they brought us out as show ponies, and I thought that would be the perfect opportunity before going into season 3 to ask the head of IFC if we could have I asked for another week, and I was prepared to retreat to just a day or two, and she just looked at me and she laughed. And of all the different reactions, I was ready to. I felt like I was so nimble and I was so cerebrally. I could move around and I could get us a couple extra days. And she just laughed at me. She's like, no. The schedule's perfect the way it is.
Oh,
I was
goodness.
like, damn it.
Oh, man.
So it's not, by the way, the running joke is it's not even 5 weeks since we shoot the Tuesday after Memorial Day. So it's 4 weeks and 4 days.
Oh, man. That is...
It ain't 5 weeks. Dana and I joke about that all the time. People go, well, you shoot 8 episodes in 5 weeks. Like, well, we could use the extra day. Technically, no, it's not.
Uh-huh. Just the one minus, just because things can't even be easy enough. Oh my goodness. This episode of Pod Against Evil is brought to you by the Stand Against Evil Fan Club. Now, the Stand Against Evil Fan Club is a club that I am, of course, a prestigious member of. But unfortunately, my co-host is not, even though I have been hounding him over and over again about it. So I'll tell you what, we're going to give him a quick call right now. I mean, my phone is a little on the fritz, so he might sound a little weird. Hello, Travis. Yeah, huh? No, I'm doing the ad right now. So what's the deal, man? Why are you dragging your feet for joining the Stand Against Evil fan club? If I've told you once, I've told you 100 times. It's the perfect way to stay up to date on all your Stand Against Evil news and just share your general overall love of Stand Against Evil. But wait, there's more. There's even trivia on the weekend. That's where you get to play trivia with all the other Stan fans. Yeah, and sometimes they even have giveaways of all this cool Stan merch. Yeah, it is cool. Look, I'll tell you one more time. All you gotta do to join the Stand Against Evil Fan Club is either go to their Facebook page, Stand Against Evil Fan Club, or you can follow them on Twitter at Stand Against Evil Fan. They even have a new nifty Instagram page. Just head on over to Instagram and type in Stand Against Evil Fan Club. Come on, update your social media, you poor excuse for a millennial. Okay, there's no excuse for that kind of language. Alright, I'm hanging up now. And please, dear listener, if you have not already joined the Stand Against Evil Fan Club, please do so and help support the show. I did want to mention your other half, Claire, played by Susan Williams.
Great.
Oh my goodness, you guys have obviously since she's dead by the episode 1, you guys don't get to share as much screen time. But like in episode 208 and some of the previous episodes,
she was great in 208.
You guys have such great. It's like
she goes, "I hate Clint Eastwood."
Yes.
My God, it was great.
And you guys it feels like you've been on set on the like she's been on the show forever. Like how do you pull off that chemistry between each other? Like, did you hang out beforehand to really get a solid hook of like the feeling of Stan and Claire? Like, because it really comes off in a very short amount of time.
I must tell you that while when I was working with my teacher here, getting ready for that first season, and as we do before each season, I just invested so much in who Claire was on the page and who she was to John McGinley, that I largely can't rely on. I don't want to rely on someone being terrific. Mm-hmm. And when they are, it's a treat. It's great. But I'm not going to sink or swim based on the other person hitting the ball back to me. Mm-hmm. It's that ship sail. It's too disappointing when they don't. And
sure.
Then, so I sometimes actor-proof myself, and I had to with that character because obviously for me everything stems from her loss, and so to some degree I actor-proofed that role. And then when Susan came in and was astonishing, you hit it out of the ballpark.
Yeah, it's really one of the best scenes, not only in this show, but I think in any horror comedy I've ever seen. Like just this real profound relationship and like what both characters are losing at the one time is just really, really, really great.
I also thought in season 2, the walk and talk with the impish man, the guy who came on from the Reanimator, I thought he was spectacular.
Oh, Jeffrey Combs?
I went out when Jeffrey came on. He fit right into the tone of the piece. That was one of the larger kind of guest star roles that Dana wrote. And when I read before we went down to Atlanta, I said, "Well, who are you putting in as the impish man?" And he said Jeffrey Combs, and I'm like, "Oh God, please tell me he's going to be good. And he got down there, and he was just loaded, and he was ready to go, and he nailed it. When he does those jazz hands and pizzazz, I was just like, okay, we're in.
I do hear he's full of showmanship and pizzazz. I'm not sure where I remember hearing it, but
like, okay, you're good.
Oh goodness, that is like one of my favorite episodes as well. I
just love that we find out that the reason Stan wanted to be a cop is because he liked beating the shit out of that guy by the lake who wouldn't let go of his leg, and it was like, that's some takeaway there, Stan.
It's about power for him, and like it was because Stan is all about not feeling powerless. So
my God! I thought when Dana wrote that backstory, I was like, and it was this long monologue, and we see most of it. We hear Stan, but we shot Jeffrey and I doing this, I don't know, 300-yard walk and talk, which is very ambitious for our schedule. And we only did it about 2 or 3 times because he came and he nailed it. And when he gave me that backstory, I was just like, this is too delicious. Mm-hmm. And so we're walking through the woods and outside of Atlanta in this, doubling as New Hampshire, doing this 6-page walk and talk about the backstory. I was like, this is just great.
It's fantastic. It's funny. It furthers the character. It all makes sense.
100%.
Like it's firing on all cylinders, and I love shows that are even working on just one level. But when shows are like working on multiple levels, like I feel Stan does consistently, it's just a real treat to behold. And I think you and Dana and everyone else involved have really made something special here, and I absolutely love experiencing it for sure.
Well, I think Dana has been such a steward of maintaining that tone that I was telling you, that everything grows off of that. So Deborah's character can be, the Jonathan Winters, the female Jonathan Winters of her generation. I mean, Denise is arguably insane, and it's genius because that can be the Scooby-Doo end of the spectrum, and then Stan's sense of torture and loss moves over towards The Exorcist, and then Janet has to bring everybody to the middle, mm-hmm. and that's hard, and Dana's pulling it off.
It's well balanced. It's like a samurai sword of how sharp and balanced this script is, and I love it. Of course, we love Denise over here on the podcast. She's I think we're most of our favorite characters is Denise.
But also Nate, we put some meat on the bone for Nate this year, and we're chopping up season 3. We're chopping up season 3 right now, and we gave him some stuff to do in season 3, and he crushed it.
Great.
He gets to really shine in season 3.
Yeah, that leads me to my next question, because I wanted to ask you about, so season 3 has wrapped up. You're obviously in post-production on it.
Yeah, we've chopped the first 4. We'll be done with 305 today. Dana's going to send me that today, and then, I don't know. We'll 2 or 3 more weeks. We'll be done. You put together an assembly, and then the network has notes, and then we have notes, and then you put that assembly together, and then you sweeten the music and you sweeten the effects. Whatever we can afford on the effects. Most of them are practical, mm-hmm. And then you got your show.
Fantastic, and you've released a trailer already for San Diego Comic-Con.
The trailer crushed at Comic-Con.
Oh, well, how could it not? The trailer is amazing. That trailer
when Dana put the puppets are called the nubbins. When he put that nubbin being shot on the top of the couch, I was, and then Dana had the spine to, there's like this 4-second pause before he falls over, mm-hmm. and that takes spine. In the middle of a trailer, you put this 4-second pause, and then the nubbin falls over, and you're like, score!
Yes, like that's what I thought too. Is that like it's such a fuck it, here we go trailer that I'm just like I'm all in it. By the end of it, I'm just like I don't think I can wait till Halloween. I gotta see this thing right now. And
I wish I could send you a couple of the first episodes. Dana knows horror better than anybody I know, and so there's all sorts of tip of the hats to everything from Kolchak, the Night Stalker, to who's the 2 people that David Duchovny and the other girl played.
Mulder and Scully.
There's a whole Mulder and Scully. There's a whole episode about Mulder and Scully. There's a Mothra and Godzilla episode.
I saw I could not stop laughing when I saw the
David Koechner turns into
a Mothman of some kind.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's insane.
It's crazy. It's like watching an acid trip, and I love it. I fucking love it.
That episode is an acid trip, so get ready.
Oh man, I am so excited.
When David came down and he turned into a moth, it was insane.
So yeah, with no spoilers obviously, but what are you most excited for, and what do you feel like people will most connect with in season 3? Like what you guys bring into the table?
For Stan to be able to get through season 3, since what he did trying to get Claire back at the end of season 2, obviously that didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And so Stan has to. Dana wrote me this great text while he was driving down the highway when he was writing all this. He wrote that Stan has to go against everything he's ever learned in order to effect a change. And can he do that? Probably not, but that's what he's going to have to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like the 301, what Dana did was so genius. Is that in 301, obviously we're coming off. It was the end of the world at the end of 208.
Oh yeah, like a real game changer.
What he could have done, I guess, is use the mechanism of somebody waking up from a bad dream or some total cop-out.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't. What he did was that the title of 301 is "Hell is What You Make It." Is that if Stan and if Evie are willing to go through their own personal hell and to get through it, then they'll arrive back at present day. And that's a pretty esoteric, again, for a 21-minute and 40-second horror comedy. But that's what he did, and he put it on the page. And these our two heroes. They have to chart a course through their own personal hells, and if they can make it through their own personal hells, they get to arrive back here in current time. And he did it. And 301 is. I told Dana, I said, this might be the best episode you've done, because he didn't cop out. He didn't use any lazy tools, any lazy writing tools. He went the other way. He owned it.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought 301 was just. I thought it was a masterstroke.
Yeah, I'm so excited to see it. I feel like there's no lazy episode of Stand Against Evil. So if you're telling me that he pulls out the stops on this one in particular, I can't even explain, John. I'm just too excited. Oh my goodness.
I'm excited for you to see it, because the 8 scripts Dana sent me and the homework we did. I keep a rehearsal space in Los Angeles, and so before I go down to Atlanta, I go to the rehearsal space with a teacher, and we deconstruct the script, also correct mistakes, not word mistakes, but arc mistakes, and then Dana works with us there, and then we just start to tear the script apart in a real kind of Brechtian way. We just deconstruct the whole thing, see where Stan needs to go, what he needs to do, how he can do it. And then by the time we get to Atlanta, like I told you, there's no time to do any of this. All this has to have already been done. Because that Tuesday after Memorial Day, when we call the actors to the set at 5 a.m. and we start shooting, we're going. We're
Mm-hmm.
going. And it doesn't stop for 4 weeks and 4 days. And I love it. I love putting blinders on. I love when actors have to rely on homework and instincts. And the lens loves it too, because there's zero BS. The actors are bringing it. They're bringing it. It's not manufactured. They're mostly telling the truth, and it's so exciting. It's so exciting. I hope you come down and visit us.
I mean, I would love to if hopefully we get the season 4 and we could do that. And I would do it in a heartbeat. But I feel like I would just get in the way, and I would just be sitting there.
No chance. You should come down. It's great. It's a great set. Dana and I instituted the same rule that Billy Lawrence instituted on Scrubs. It's called the no asshole policy, and Billy got everybody together in what was the cafeteria over in that hospital. This is 2001 when we started, and he just told everybody when you come to work, you have to treat everybody the way you want to be treated, and not that you have to walk on pins and needles. That's not the point, but you got to be nice. And if you can't be nice, you're probably going to go away. And Dana and I instituted the same thing down in Atlanta, and it yields dividends. Because we're working hard, and it's hot, and it's everyone's cranking, and sometimes you get cranky. So what? Be nice.
Be nice.
If you can't be nice, then you'll probably be gone.
Mm-hmm.
No big deal.
Like Roadhouse rules. Be nice. Be nice until I tell you it's time.
Is that what Patrick says in Roadhouse?
Yeah, it's like, I forget the exact line, but it's something like, be nice until it's time to not be nice. Like, when will I know it's time not to be nice? I'll tell you when it's time not to be nice. Which is basically
Does
just
Patrick
means...
say that?
What's that?
Is that Patrick's character who says that?
Yeah, that's Patrick's character that says that.
Fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
He was the best.
Mm-hmm.
We got to be friends on Point Break, and he was just impacted me in such a positive way.
Oh, man, I love that movie, too. I love that movie. But, John, I feel like I could talk to you all day, but you are a busy man, so we will wrap it up here. Is there anything else, like, I know Stan is coming in Halloween. I think.
Are you going to come to Comic-Con? Are there any chance you're coming to Comic-Con?
I'm working on it right now.
New York?
Yeah, I'm working on it right now. The entertainment website I work for is trying to get me in this press, but it's a little harder since
It's October 4th. I guess our panel is on Thursday the 4th.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
so if you come, you have to introduce yourself to me because I can't. There's too many people there. I won't be able to find you. So if you do come, which I hope you will, just find a way to introduce yourself to me so we can let's schedule an interview when you get there.
Yes, we could do something live. That would be really great. Yeah, I'm gonna try my damnness because I feel like I missed out at San Diego. I feel like I missed out at a party, and I'm like, not the next one. I got to get to the next one.
You got to find a way to get to New York.
All right, I'm gonna visualize it. I'm gonna make it happen, John. I'm gonna make it happen.
Yeah, bring the guys. Come to New York. It's a gas.
Well, I hope to see you in the future then, my friend. Would you like to promote, I know you had a recent movie come out. Would you like to promote anything upcoming, any projects Unstan related?
I got a baseball comedy coming out August 17th, the same day that Stan turns into season 2 on Hulu. But on 17th, Garrett Dillenhunt did a family comedy baseball movie that comes out on August 17th, and it's hilarious.
Benched, it was called, right? Benched.
Benched. There's a trailer that just dropped. It's fantastic.
Great. I am definitely going to look it up after this interview is over.
Yeah, you'll die. It's great.
Well, thank you so much for interviewing with me, John. It's been fantastic. You have been a great guest.
Well, I admire the job you guys are doing with the Pod Against Evil, and I will for certain do this again with you whenever you want.
We would love to have you on for hopefully season 4.
I want to be on with the guys too. I want to kick the ball around with the guys.
You know, you know what? I'll get them together. We'll set something up, and we'll get together with Travis and Les so they can come on and ask you some stuff too.
Yeah, Travis is a gas. Les is great. Yeah, let's get the band back together.
Yes. All right. I'm looking forward to it. But in the meantime, listeners, may the owls abide. See you later, Stan fans.
See you, Nick.